Hello, Alex. So what's the wrap-up on the last day of the Rio Summit?
Well, as I mentioned, everything is still secret right now. There's a lot of speculation about what might be going on. We attended a press conference earlier with a lot of the top people here, including the Chinese communist who happens to be the Secretary General of the summit. His name is Sha Zukang. And he essentially explained that the governments here had agreed to hundreds of different commitments. We're not exactly sure what those commitments are, but he indicated that they would cost about $500 billion or more. And the businesses a lot of the big businesses have agreed and jumped on board. The quote-unquote civil society groups, these environmental groups and so forth, they have indicated that they are disappointed with what they believe is in the document so far. But as far as what's actually in there, we really don't know. We can go based on the draft that they released a few days ago. That was essentially more centralization of power at the international level, slow erosion of property rights, actually an acceleration from what we've seen under Agenda 21 that was agreed to 20 years ago. One of the big points that kept coming up over and over again in the document was reproductive health rights and freedom and so forth, which is generally code word for abortion. A lot about family planning, universal access to tax-funded contraception. And that seems to be one of the big themes. Slow erosion of property rights, as I mentioned, and slowly centralizing more and more power in the hands of the United Nations. And then they have kind of a roadmap going forward where they want to, milestones a couple of years down the road, what they want to go with.
And what has been the reaction of the NGOs?
Well, each interest group here, they call them stakeholders at the United Nations, has had its own perspective, and then the subgroups within those broader stakeholder categories have each had their own reactions. But to kind of sum it up, generally, the business leaders that were in attendance, a lot of the biggest companies on earth, seemed pretty excited about it. They had a couple of giving speeches. They were talking about, how excited they were about this partnership with government and the United Nations to foist sustainability on the planet, and how that was going to help them reform their companies and so forth, rather than allowing market forces to do it. The civil society groups, as soon as some of the information came out about what was in or what was not in the agreement, or at least the suspicions, they started blasting out the press releases that it wasn't enough, and that they kind of just trying to make the UN and these delegates look a little bit more moderate than they are by saying that this wasn't enough to save the world and so on and so forth.
What is your overall impression?
Yeah, we're probably going to be getting out of here in just a moment. I guess the overall impression that I got from here, it seems like they are going to get a little bit closer to their goal of creating this kind of global political system, this system of global control. Now the agenda is sustainability, but it's the same agenda that we've seen for decades, growing the power of these international institutions, growing the scope of these international institutions, increasingly using national governments as enforcement arms for these different agreements. And well, it looks like they did get a little closer to their goal. We should know a little better whenever the document finally does come out. So stay tuned to the New American. We'll keep you updated as information comes in. And until next time, thank you very much, Bill. Have a good night, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks for all of your good work there. I know you and Jason and Adam have been going around the clock. Thank you. And for all who want to follow what's going on in Rio, please watch our coverage. Visit us at thenewamerican.com.